This quantitative tools that you can use for social media research. They can be used not only for kind of in the gathering stage, but also they can be used to kind of display some of your findings to people later, because most people would rather read something in a chart form or a graphic form rather than reading large blocks of text. So you can kind of use this at the beginning, and you can also use it at the end. The first one of these is Tagxedo. It's probably the most flexible of them. When you come to it, you can either enter that you want to follow a Twitter ID, some type of a social bookmarking site, some type of a search, a specific URL, or just a phrase that's happening in the news. So I'm going to go ahead and we could either just enter the URL for, I guess that's what we'll just do, the URL for the Twitter account for Domino's. And once it's gone ahead and drawn its initial kind of a finding, you have a lot of flexibility to be able to refine this. So I'll scoot this window up a tad so that you can see some of the options down here too. First of all, I can go ahead and come in here and decide that I can just swap the color and have it rotate to some other kind of finding. Or what I can do is I can come in here and spin through a series of preset themes, or I can come in here on this particular tab and I could choose that I want to use this color scheme to be able to portray what it is that we're going to try to end up doing. As you notice, as you kind of scroll across this is kind of more for the searching kind of a phase. Some of the smaller words, as I kind of scroll across them, they end up popping out, becoming larger so that I can see them. If for some reason I don't like the font, I can either spin the font options and it'll go ahead and pop through that. Or if there was something that I wanted to use in particular, I could come back in here, especially kind of more on the output phase, and pick just one particular font that I want to use on this. I'm going to go ahead and close this. This is fine for now. The orientation, I can either tell it to go ahead and spin, or I can come back on in here and I can tell it that I want it to be kind of more horizontally oriented, and it's drawing through the screen bar on that. Pick a more vertical one, or I can pick the fairly common one, the horizontal and vertical kind of orthogonal. So we'll spin through that. If for some reason that you, a bunch of different options inside here. If for some reason I decide that I don't want to end up using all these words, because I don't think some of them fit. Maybe some of them were picked up off of just standard parts of a Twitter account and I need to kind of condense them down and use a different amount. I can come in here to the word or the layout options. And first of all, I can tell it the maximum word count. Well, if 200 is just too many to see, I can go down to the top 50. I can go ahead and you can experiment with some of these sliders to see, like, this is going to change the dominance of the largest ones compared to some of the smallest ones. And as soon as I'm done there, I'm going to go ahead and apply that, which is going to cut the number of words down quite a bit. For some reason that didn't do enough for me. I can come in here and I can say that there are certain things that I want to include or exclude, punctuation marks and certain things like that. I can also go ahead and tell it what words to skip. So I'm coming in here real quick and I'm going to just say I don't want the word retweet, favorited, tweet, delete, reply, embed, expand, flag. Obviously these are a lot of the words that it found from the Twitter account, so maybe the better thing to do is to find a different input mechanism. But I can go ahead and take out the details and then go ahead and hit accept, and it's going to go ahead and throw those words out of the equation so that you have a lot of flexibility to show what it is that you want to be able to see. For some reason I wanted to come in here and on the advanced tab change an awful lot of what the background is versus the color and some other things like that. I can also go ahead, if I've been flipping through this and I'm not sure which one, I can click on the history tab and say, you know what, after all I've been doing here, I really want to go back to this one. Or again, I can say, no, you know what, I really do want to just keep this particular one. Beyond there, some additional things that I can end up doing is I could have hit load rather than having come in through one of the items that I came in through, where I was picking a Twitter ID or a URL. I could just go ahead and enter my own text, especially if I'm pulling it from one of the other tools that allows you to export words out in Excel, cut out what you don't want there. Think about the frequency distribution. I could come back and I could paste them into here if that's something that I'd rather end up doing. I also could end up fitting these within a shape, we will take this and take the words and put it in the always popular cat frame. So now it's kind of in the shape of a kitty cat. And when you end up having whatever it is that you like, if this is something that you want, I can come back in here and tell it to save or share. I can export this as a series of different size JPEGs or PNG files. I could export this directly to an HTML site. For the print version, it's going to be kind of slow here, but I can go ahead and pick, and I could export this directly to a PDF so that I've got it kind of in a more vector format rather than something else. And again, this thing is very helpful for whether you're trying to come in here and use it to kind of take a look at some words and some frequency distributions to get an idea of things, or if you're using it to go ahead and enter your own words that you found through your research because you want to make some type of a map here that allows you to be able to better kind of display some of the text for use like in a plans book or something like that. The next one of these is Wordle. Come into the home page here. It has a lot of different things because they're suggesting that if you like this, you can save it and export the file out and make t-shirts and all that kind of stuff. This one doesn't seem to work so well from a URL. A lot of the things you're going to find don't have an Atom or an RSS feed, and therefore when you type in the URL, it's going to tell you that it's not an appropriate kind of feed. But there's a few other things that you could end up doing in here with this one. Especially if I click on the Advanced tab, it shows you, hey, if you want to paste words in separated by a colon with a number, that's what it's going to use as the frequency distribution. So again, whether you're doing this by hand or whether you're doing this in Excel, you could come back in here and type in yummy colon 34, craving colon 21, order colon 19, happy colon 26 or 37. That's what I ended up typing, whatever it is. And again, I can go ahead and click the go button from that, and it's going to go ahead and create the TagCrowd based on that. So wait for a second to draw this. Yes, I want to go ahead and run the JavaScript on the page. It's going to allow these things to pop in. I can go ahead and randomize kind of the placement of these things. I also do have the ability to still come in and change the color palette that I want to use on this. I could change the layout, mostly horizontal or half and half. Again, I've only got 4 words. Change the language on it, the specific font on it, or whatever it is. I can come back in and I can tell it to print to be able to export this thing to a PDF file for further use. So reasonably handy. I think Tagxedo you're going to find has more options for you. Last one in here is TagCrowd. Same type of thing. You get to paste in your own text. You could upload a URL or a file literally from Excel or something like that. I think one of the neat things on this, let's see if it pops up with the Domino's Twitter account, is that it's maybe not as graphically interesting. You're using it more to kind of gauge the size of some of these words, but it has several help files. How do I keep multiple words together? How do I turn this into a PDF? It has a few other kind of neat options here too. For example, minimum frequency. Don't bother showing words that only showed up once. Only show the words that showed up 2 times or more. And again, it also gives you the ability to come back in and by don't show these particular words if for some reason I didn't want it to say RC and I didn't want it to say help or info. I can just type in RC space help space info and come back and tell it to visualize, and it'll go ahead and remove those from the structure of this thing. Not as interesting to export on out, but again, this is maybe kind of more of a precursor learning tool or searching tool rather than kind of export it for graphics for your plans book or something like that.